actually. If you want to drop me off, and then I'll give you the card to go to Target.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Okay, we're live, Tommy. We're good.
Hey, so how's it going?
Tommy is joining us live today for a special broadcast in Charlotte, North Carolina, where he's headed to a protest. So I wanted to hear his thoughts about everything and then also see some of the protests if we could.
Yeah, so the march doesn't actually start till about 1, so I'm just sort of going to offer some support and help before getting some things set up, finding people, getting organized, and all that good stuff. My partner's actually about to drop me off, and he's going to run and grab some waters and things of that nature for us because he's amazing. Right there. But yeah, so I guess me and Kevin thought it would be, I would take a few minutes to sort of talk to individuals about the protests, about what people are calling riots that are happening nationwide. I know that some people are just awakening to this anti-racism journey, and so I just want to acknowledge that and welcome you into the journey. I know that it is a very uncomfortable moment, but we are glad you're here, and it is about time for those that just woke up. So, and I say that not to discourage anyone, but to say that we have been tired and talking about these issues for about 400 years since slavery, and now individuals are beginning to see that white supremacy for the scourge that it is. And so what we are doing is just that when we talk about white supremacy,
Can I turn this way? No.
This is the one where you're going to turn to.
Oh yeah, I got it. Yeah.
When we talk about white supremacy, we often think about the Ku Klux Klan or these like extremist organizations, but we don't often talk about white supremacy as a system. And so what we have been talking about is how white supremacy as a system, as an ideology, has infiltrated into the systems of our country. And what you are seeing is how that has filtered into the system of law enforcement, and with police brutality, with criminal law. The statistics are out there, so I'm not going to take this moment to educate. So you can Google those. There's great resources. The New Jim Crow by and Michelle Alexander, Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. And welcome to the journey. And one of the other books that I recommend is White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. She really begins to dismantle and disassemble aspects of privilege and white supremacy and how they exist. And so,
Tommy,
yes.
Can you speak to the looting and to the rioting and help us understand that perspective?
Yeah, so
because I think most people understand what happened is wrong and what happens is wrong, but they don't understand the response.
Right. So bear with me 1 second. I'm getting out of the car, so I'm going to switch over to my headphones and put my mask on.
Yeah.
Where should I park after?
Huh?
Where should I park?
Sure.
Where should I bring the water? Should I call you when I bring the
water?
water?
You can call me and I'll come pick it up.
Okay.
All right, my dear, be safe. You got my wallet, that. I need to grab my medicine bag. So, and everybody heard me preparing for that. The reason I have all those supplies is because I am a nurse. Are you able to hear me still?
Yeah.
Just okay, cool,
Yeah,
excellent.
you're good.
The reason I have all those supplies is because I'm a nurse, and so I want to, it's hot out here. I want to make sure people are staying hydrated, and that is how we prepare. I'll get that water bottle, and then, all right. So we were talking about the riots, and so Martin Luther King Jr. has often said that riots are the language of the unheard. And so we often neglect to actually look at the history of riots in our country. The LGBTQ community, that movement started with a series of riots, the Stonewall riots. And it's quite ironic that we don't really talk this way about riots when it's rioting over a college football game, right?
Yeah.
And so like, what is the message under the riots? We're so focused on the actions that we always like to miss the message, and that's a complete dog whistle, right? And so and as I was saying before, like this has been happening for 400 years. We have been beating the drum that white supremacy is a virus that is killing Black lives, right? And so, and we saw it on live television this week. The last few weeks, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, we've seen it in George Floyd, right? And then there's just countless other instances of aggressions against Black people and white people weaponizing police to terrorize and control Black bodies. And so what we are doing is out here protesting that it has to stop. And that has to stop from a systemic level. And so what you're also seeing in these riots, it's not that, so what you're going to witness today with us is a peaceful protest. And what has been happening is that right-wing groups and extremist opportunists are taking these opportunities to infiltrate and insert themselves into the protest to cause ruckus in the communities. And if you look at the videos, go on social media, there's videos around, that is what you will see. You will see white people breaking glasses, being opportunistic, taking this moment. And so it's a variety of people. And so we're out here sending the message that we want to be peaceful, that this is not the way, that violence is not the answer. But Andre Henry was speaking the other day on his video that whether you protest violently or non-violently, those protests will be met with violence from positions of power and authority. And so when we see this, we need to be out here protesting for police reform. We see these shows of aggression now, and it is so easy for the police to not be throwing rubber bullets. The Geneva Conventions mention for tear gas, they can't even use that in war, but that is what they are using on the streets here in the United States.
So if there's a college football game and afterwards, like in Chapel Hill, they'll have that main stretch there, and they'll have bonfires and flip a car over, and that's just seen as part of college life.
Oh yeah, they're just being kids,
Boys will be boys.
Kids. Right.
White boys will be white boys.
Right.
Now
that's the privilege. That is the privilege right there.
And if they if they're mad about having to wear a mask and they want the country to reopen or their state to reopen, and they carry around AR-15s in front of the Capitol, that's just white boys being proud white boys.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if a Black man were to do either of those, he's a thug and it's a riot.
Violent, we're perceived as violent. We're perceived as something to be afraid of. We're perceived as something to not have dignity, right? And so Austin Channing Brown wrote a book called "I'm Still Here: Black Dignity in a World Made for Whiteness," right? And so I would encourage y'all to read that to see just how white supremacy infiltrates in our organizations, in our churches today, how we have to root it out on every single level. This is not a conversation about the individual, but the individual can support us and can work on the racist acts or the racist ideology that they carry in their lives and begin to root it out. It is the water that we swim in. It's time to stop being offended, stop being shameful, and start talking about it.
What I heard this week is it's okay to recognize that you are racist. It's more important to strive for anti-racism. Because
Yes.
racism,
Like, not racist
yes.
is like, I don't need you to not be racist. Not racist doesn't help me. Racist is essentially the default because we swim in the waters of white supremacy. I need people to be anti-racist, to root out the systems that continue to oppress. When we're in the middle of a pandemic. We forget that because this chaos, this civil unrest is happening, right? But who has that pandemic negatively affected the most, and who has had the least resources in this pandemic? Who is disproportionately these essential workers exposing themselves to COVID-19, right? And so
Yeah.
at every single
and
level,
and let's add that the African American community is hit harder by COVID-19 because they have less access to good health care, from what I've read.
yeah. So we just don't have time to coddle. And so wherever you are, if you want to support us today, walk a mile wherever you are. Hold up a sign in your neighborhood, start having conversations, stop being silent when you hear racist things, do your work, pick up a book and join us. You know, now's not the time for Black people to be educating white people, but that information is already out there. That work has already been done. Now is the time to make that decision. I was thinking the other day with a friend that, you know, looking in our history books when we would see those marches in 1960s, and I thought, what side of history would I want to be on? This is that moment for you all. You can focus on the looting and the rioting, or you can listen to the voices of the oppressed. I mean, I know that you come from a Christian background, Kevin. And so when I think of these riots, Jesus rioted in the temple because people were oppressed. The people in power were oppressing those who were going to offer service to God, right? And so now this earth is our larger temple, and people are being oppressed, and we are not listening. It is time to flip over tables.
I read yesterday by, I think it was Austin Channing. She said it was a one man riot against capitalism.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But
And
I got to
we
go,
can't-
my friend.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to go and join everyone. But it was so nice to talk to you all, and yeah, we'll be in contact.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Be safe.
All right, brother. Bye.
Bye. All right, that was good. That was really good. Tommy mentioned Austin Channing, and also the book. I don't know if he mentioned White Fragility, but that's what I'm adding to my list. White Fragility. He mentioned Austin Channing, and I just want to reiterate that he was not. He's at a peaceful protest in Charlotte, and he's proceeding in a peaceful way, because for whatever reason that can stop people's train of thought. They're like, oh, it's bad. I disagree. I want to do something about it. And then they just get distracted. And he reiterated for us not to be distracted by what we see or what we hear in the news necessarily, just proceed in a way that we see most helpful. Thanks for watching.